Happy Gilmore 2 is another movie that no one really asked for or wanted. It's come out probably 25 years too late, and it really suffers from many of the same problems that a lot of these legacy sequels do. It's got some funny jokes, but it's too long. It kind of undoes the first movie so that this one can justify its existence. It tries to have too many plots. It doesn't really seem to understand why the first one was enjoyed by so many people. And something that I normally would praise Adam Sandler movies for, regardless of whether or not you think they're funny, is they usually have some kind of very basic message or theme that they get correct. Obviously, a movie like Click, you have the whole idea of not working your life away and focusing only on money and appreciating your family. Even something like The Water Boy, you had the kind of coming of age thing and the willingness to leave the nest, and obviously for the mother to let your child grow up. Even a movie like Just Go With It is kind of more about dating people for more than just their looks and age appropriate dating and blah, blah, blah. And this movie doesn't really seem to understand that Happy Gilmore gets this part right as well, where his dream is to play hockey, but what he's good at is not hockey. But because he loves his grandmother, he sets aside his own dreams to pursue what's best for his family. You know, he's the underdog. He's going against Shooter McGavin, who's the established elitist douchebag type. All these little fundamental things he usually gets right. And I think this movie went way off base and kind of sacrificed that aspect just so that it could exist. Beyond that, we get kind of half-hearted references and callbacks to the first movie. It's an absolute cameo fest. I guess Adam Sandler's just a really nice guy, and people in Hollywood just generally like him because there's a ton of people in this movie, including actual professional golfers, Travis Kelce, Eminem shows up. You see different podcasts that are pretty famous and podcasters. So I guess he's just friends with everyone because his family and it feels like half of celebrities are in this movie. Or maybe he was Epstein's backup, so he's just blackmailing all these people to be in his movies. Who knows? But either way, it's just not super fun to watch him be a bad dad, to watch him in fucking rehab, because that's their way of bringing Ben Stiller's character back. Shooter McGavin was in a mental institution for 30 years, and they get together partway through the movie. Christopher McDonald seems like he was having a blast playing the character, so that was definitely a positive. But at the end of the day, the whole thing just really shouldn't exist. I think people who watch this will probably never ever watch it again. It's not going to get the benefit of the nostalgia that the first one has. This movie is pushing on 2 hours as opposed to the first one that's like an hour and 30 minutes with credits. There's two plots to this movie. One plot is that he's killed his wife with a bad drive. So he's given up golf. Him and their 5 kids have slowly gone broke over time. He's just sitting around drinking. And I think, honestly, the first half of the movie, while it's played as kind of a joke, it does a goofy thing that is amusing where he's drinking out of like every random object because he's an alcoholic. It's also just pretty depressing for what this movie should be. And it doesn't really seem necessary. I'm really over this trope of every male character that gets older is just a miserable cunt who wants to die. Obviously, we've seen this with Luke Skywalker, Indiana Jones. I'm not a Monk fan, but my wife said the Monk movie was the same way. It's just really tiresome and not really tonally appropriate for a Happy Gilmore movie. You know, I don't know if Julie Bowen, who plays Virginia, was busy or they just wanted to kill her off because they thought it'd be funny. But even still, I think if you're going to do that, you can condense that part into the first like 5 minutes. We understand that he lost the love of his life and he's grieving, and then he just focuses on raising his kids without being a shitty dad, without that taking up 45 minutes of screen time and just watching him drink himself into poverty. Even though I don't like the decision, I think there's ways that you can do it that don't make it miserable to watch and drag out the runtime. And I sort of feel like if you're going to go with the whole grief and closure route, it might be worthwhile to include some kind of romantic element to the movie. I mean, that one I think you can go either way, of just he's content with the family, he lost his one true love, blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, his kids don't like to see him lonely. He's finally accepted what happened, doesn't blame himself. Presumably you would cast an older woman for this in a similar role to Virginia's, whatever. And part of the problem with this is it just eats up so much runtime. Like if you cut out the whole killing Virginia downward downward spiral aspect. You could just as easily have been like, oh, he made his money, retired, was enjoying his time with his family. His accountant that he let run all their shit actually stole from them. So now he needs to pick up a golf club again. Like, you can make him poor and need to play golf without making him a miserable twat and kind of a shitty father, because all of that is done just to justify that he needs to make a lot of money fast to send his daughter, who's seemingly some kind of ballet prodigy, to the best ballet school. So he needs $300,000 ASAP. Or even if you don't want to have him retire at all, he could just as easily have been kind of the face of golf, change golf, whatever. And then the maxi league or brand or whatever you want to call it starts to rival it. You know, maybe he's in the backside of his career. He's not as good as he used to be. There's a lot of ways that you can do it without kind of shitting all over his character, because a really big part of the first Happy Gilmore movie is that he cares about his family, is that he cares about his friends. That's why he's willing to set aside his dreams. He's not just greedy for money, but this one requires that he just essentially forsake his 5 kids. So they've all turned out to be kind of losers. They're all dumb. He's just a drunk bad dad. It's just really unnecessary. The other part of this movie is more of a meta thing, making fun of LIV Golf if you're into golf. If you're not aware of LIV Golf, you're not into it, the gist of it is they're a competitor with the established PGA. Any golf you've seen on TV is the PGA Tour. It's been around forever. LIV Golf, to my understanding, is funded by the Middle East and all their oil money. They're paying some of the top guys big cash just to go over there, play exclusively in that league. This movie makes fun of the existence of LIV Golf. It's called Maxi. And it's this really outrageous brand of golf. They only play 7 holes. There's a shot clock. They're doing monkey bars to get to their ball. So the movie tries to do both of these things, which is why you end up with kind of a bloated mess, because you got 2 separate plot lines running. The Maxi golf stuff is actually the more funny and kind of outlandish one. And it's probably what the movie should have been, because watching a guy named Happy have everything that he ever wanted with fame and fortune and a family, kill his own wife, and then drink himself into oblivion and poverty is not super fun to watch. Another really weird thing this movie does is introduce an almost superhero element to golf. So as Happy Gilmore is getting his game back, he goes to the driving range where he's next to John Lovitz, and every time John Lovitz hits a shot, he hits his ball at John Lovitz's ball and knocks it out of the air and like splits it in half. The Maxi League is also trying to brand itself as like the long ball hitters and the crazy youthful fun league and whatever. And a part of it is that they've removed some hip tendon in their golfers that allows them to twist their body further, getting more torque and hitting the ball longer distances. So you're watching a fat Haley Joel Osment hit the ball 500 yards. And even for the ending golf battle where the PGA is battling the Maxi League and they're trying to decide who's going to be the Premier League, they're hitting each other's balls out of the air. They're playing on ice and doing chip-ins and shit. Like, I don't actually mind all the craziness of it, but there's still this weird superhero element of it that just goes kind of crazy. But yeah, just some really bizarre decisions. The movie doesn't need to exist. There's some decent jokes in there, but just go watch the original, like many things nowadays. I'm gonna leave it there for this one. If you've seen this, let me know what you think. I try to respond to the comments that aren't just insults. Like and subscribe and shit. Thanks. See ya.